Good morning. On behalf of Superintendent Hoffmeister, my name is Nancy Hughes. I'm the Director of Finance for the Office of Federal Programs, and this morning our webinar is going to be about the Consolidated application through the Office of Federal Programs. This webinar will be recorded and it will be posted on our website in a few days. So if you have any information and missed something, go back in a few days and look at our website and you can review this webinar. I am in a test site today, so when I go through the application, I'm working in a test site, so I'm not going to mess up anybody's application. So when you go into the GMS system, you're going to see an Access Select page. You'll go straight into your district, and you're going to see this page right here. So down at the bottom of the page, you'll see a little, I think they call it a caret that says Available, and you can click that caret and open it up. And here's where you'll see a school-wide application, a targeted application, and then you'll see a Title I, Title II, Title III, Title IVA, Title V-B, and CAC Federal Programs application, and we're going to create that application. I just want to remind you, if you don't see a Create button, click on the caret, and that Create button will show up. So we're going to create the application, and we're using the school district today. And wait on the little box to stop spinning before you move on, or it will time you out. So we're waiting on the spin. It's what it's doing. It's creating the application for FY20. And as you can see, the application is due by September 30, 2019. Okay, so the overview page, this is the consolidated application. And up at the top where it says Application Sections, this is the consolidated page. So the first page is the overview page, and what we've added this year is the project codes by each application. So Title I, for instance, is Project Code 511. This is just the informational page for you. Then you'll go to the contact page, wait for the spin, and you'll see the superintendent's information. This is pre-populated from the assurance page. So if the superintendent's name is wrong, then we want to go in and update the assurances so it will pre-populate this information correct. Then you have the opportunity to go in and tell us who the Federal Programs Director or Coordinator is, and anything with an asterisk, you're going to have to make sure that you fill in those particular boxes. So the Federal Programs Director, the Claims Contact, the Homeless Liaison, your EL Director or Coordinator, your District Testing Director or Coordinator, Technology Director or Coordinator, the Foster Care Contact. These are all mandatory. The other one that's mandatory that we've added this year is the Consolidated Monitoring Contact. We need to know who, if you're monitored this year, who should we be contacting? The ones that are not mandatory, but if you have a migrant program and receive migrant funds, we need you to fill in your migrant director, your migrant recruiter, your migrant data entry clerk. If you have neglect and delinquent funds, we need you to fill in this box. And if you have non-public school, if you're serving a private school in your district, we need the non-public school contact person in your district. And if you want to add any more, there's boxes here that you can open up to add these people. Once you're through, save the page. And if my suggestion is, as you're entering these, go ahead and save the page, and that way you don't lose information in case the system was to time out. Also, all the information, like if we were to approve the application, send the application back, a claim, send it back, it's going to go to the superintendent. But if you want to add some more people, you can just add them, and you can add up to 5 people. and it'll just keep adding names up to 5 until then when we send the information to the school districts from GMS, it will go to these 5 people plus the superintendent. Save the page, and then you can move on. The next tab is supporting documentation. This is just for the LEAs can upload yearly vendor contracts or any other information that is needed by us, OSDE. And also in this page, it asks a question, is the LEA using the time distribution record template provided by the OSDE? If you are, click yes. If you are not, click no. And then we need you to upload the time distribution records, that template that you are using at your school. Any other information that we might need, this is the place to upload that. Save the page. That's very important before you move on. The next tab is the Title I Supplement Not Supplant. This is where you upload your methodology for each one of your school sites. And you just upload it through the Browse button and hit Upload. The next one is the Consolidated Administrative Cost. This is just the information tab that just tells you the limits that you can contribute to administrative costs. So Title I, Title IA Neglected, Title ID, Title IC, Title IIA, and Title III Immigrant can use the 5, 7, and 8% depending on your ADA, also Title 5B, but Title III EL and Title 4A has a cap set by the federal government as 2%. So that's all that you can contribute toward administrative cost. The next page is the paraprofessional page. This is where you're going to enter any paraprofessional that works in a site that is supported by Title I funds. You must list them here. So you answer the question, does the district have paraprofessionals that work in a program supported by Title I, Part A funds, whether their salary is paid or not paid from federal funds? If yes, list all paraprofessionals who work in a Title I site. So if you click yes, you're going to be able to start adding these names. If you need additional entries, just click the icon that says Add Additional Entries. You're going to enter their name, the qualifications that they have met. The job code is 414. We need to know if they're in a school-wide or a targeted assistance site. Tell us the school site code. Tell us if they're paid from federal or non-federal or both. They may be paid a percentage from federal and a percentage from non-federal. And then tell us the project code that they're being paid for. If it's Title I, you put 511. If it's local funds, you use project code 000. These boxes do not need to be checked. They're just for information to bullet the associate's degree, 48 hours of credit, the OGET, work keys, and para-protest. That is the qualifications that anyone working in an instructional capacity in nature or direct student services for students or their parents would be considered needing the paraprofessional credentials. So there is enough tabs to add 100 paraprofessionals. If you have more than 100 paraprofessionals, please contact OSDE for information of how to upload the rest of your paraprofessionals. Make sure once you're through with each tab to save that page. So the next tab would be for those districts who are serving private school students. You can serve private school students through migrant funds if you have them, Title II funds, Title III Part A EL funds, Title III Immigrant funds, and Title IV Part A funds, or Title I funds. This is where You will enter this information. Most schools that serve private schools do so through Title II. So A2 is populated by us through the packets that are sent in February. You will enter A1 and then calculate the totals and save the page, and it will show you in D3 how much you should set aside to serve private school students.
There is one simple question. I don't know if you want to hit her now. Bring Paris.
Okay. I am wanting to switch from targeted to school-wide. Where do I do that? I will show you in just a second when we get to the Title I allocation. And someone is lost already. Is there any way to bring the paras forward from the 19 application? And we checked on that with GMS, and there is no way to do that. If we are in the process of applying for school-wide, do we go ahead and click school-wide for the paras? Yes. Just lost sound. I'm on phone. Okay. So some of these questions we'll answer in just a second. So let's move on to the allocation page. All of the consolidated allocations have been loaded. They will be on the top line if you are getting current year funds. As you can see, this school has current year funds, but this school has not closed out, so for 19, so none of the carryover will be under the rollover column. And that does not happen until you close out federal funds for FY19. This just shows you what allocations you have. Now, in the middle of the page, these are funds available for transfer, contribute, or reap. So, under the transfer, if there's a box there, that means that you can transfer Title II funds to Title I, Title I-A neglected, Title I-C, Title I-D, Title III-EL, Title III Immigrant, and Title IV and RLIS. You can do the same thing with Title IV-A funds. You can transfer those to those same programs, plus you can transfer those funds to Title II. That's the only programs that can be transferred, Title II and Title IV. Contribute. You may want to contribute some of your funds to Consolidated Administrative Cost. That is in this last box. Remember on the tab previously when we talked about Consolidated Administrative Costs, there are limits, and the GMS system is set at those limits so you can't over-contribute. So for an example, if you wanted 5, 7, or 8% of your Title I funds to be contributed to Consolidated Administrative Costs, you would enter that amount here. Also, you would, if you are eligible, you can reap your Title II or Title IV funds to Title V reap. This district is not eligible because the box is not there. So they would not be able to contribute or reap any of their Title II or Title IV funds. Also, you can contribute to a school-wide consolidation of funds pool. This means that you can take any of your funds that you have and consolidate it into a school-wide consolidation of funds pool of funds, and it's called, and you can use that to upgrade your whole school. Okay, I have a question. Carryover from school-wide. Our immigrant and EL money are not showing up on the rollover. Title I and Title V already show up. Are they not loaded yet? All funds are loaded. So if you do not have funds in those categories, please call me because you may not be eligible this year according to the formula. And if the carryover is not showing up, the carryover from school-wide, if you have any there, it's going to go back to the original source. So if you, for an example, if you consolidated Title I, Title II, and Title IV into a school-wide consolidation of funds pool, and you didn't spend all of those funds, whatever's left will either go back to Title I, Title II, or Title IV when they roll over to the next school year. So this is the allocation page and what you can do with that. Make sure you calculate totals and make sure you save the page. Also at the very bottom of the page, if you do not want to apply for the funds, this is where you check the boxes that you want to give back to OSDE to reallocate to other LEAs, your current year funds or your prior year funds. This is the boxes that you check. If you check one of them and save the page, it's going to ask you, are you sure you want to release these funds back to OSDE? And you're going to have to answer the question yes or no. Please do not check this box if you do not want to release the funds back to OSDE. Last thing you do is save the page before you leave this page. The next tab is the Board Authorization tab. And by checking this box and saving the page, the applicant hereby certifies that the LEA Board of Education authorizes the superintendent or someone else in the capacity of the LEAs to sign all of the current fiscal year expenditure reports, disbursements, cash receipts. So this just tells us that the person in this name with this school district has authorizations to sign the claims. Save the page once you upload the document. Now, instead of board minutes, there's a letter right here that you can upload. It just has wording. We need you to put it on your letterhead and have the superintendent signing it. That will give us authorization, and upload it to tell us who is the authorized representative for your school districts for the Office of Federal Programs and all of the other GMS administered programs. We share this information with everyone who has applications and claims through GMS. Save the page before you leave. The submit button, we will not go through that right now because we still need to go to the Title I application. So let's go there now. The overview page just tells you a little bit about Title I. We've added the project code this year. Then we're going to go to the program details. This page is very important because this page is pre-populated from the October count that is submitted to Child Nutrition. These students are ages 5 to 17. Also, on this, if this is not correct, an example would be, have you established a new site? Have you closed a site? Have you changed or reconfigured your grade levels? If you have done that, then this information is not going to be correct. So you're going to check yes. Then I need you to click on this form, and it's going to upload. You need to fill it out, have the superintendent sign it, and what this is going to do, and you're going to send that to your reviewer that you have for FY20. The reviewer assignments are on the OSDE Federal Programs website right now, if you need to know who your reviewer is. Send it to your reviewer. They will give it to me. I will go into the GMS and change your grade spans, change your free and reduced lunch counts, and your any type of student data I can change. I cannot add or change names. I have to send that to GMS, so let me know ahead of time if sites are going to change, names are going to change. Now remember, when you fill out this new report, the bottom line, so the total free and reduced lunch count cannot change. All you're doing is reconfiguring the numbers within the sites. The bottom line numbers have to stay the same. They cannot reduce or cannot increase. This page is very important. Once you have confirmed that these are all correct, save the page. And then you're going to go to Low Income Step 2. So I'm going to save this page. I'm going to go to Low Income Step 2. This shows me all of the school sites. It tells me their enrollment again. It tells me the percentages. And then I'm going to rank. So I'm going to rank this school by Public Direct Service certification values only. And then I'm going to proceed to ranking. It's going to take me to Low Income Step 3. You have 5 different selections to make. I think I'm going to select by same or similar grade spans in number 4. But it's up to you how you rank. Click the rank button, and it's going to take me to the ranking. Now it looks like some of these schools need to be targeted or school-wide. So from this, I'm going to leave this page because I need to serve the elementary school and the middle school. So I'm going to switch the program over to the School-Wide Targeted Intention Plan tab. We have moved this from the CDAP to the Title I application. So, do any of the schools intend to become Title I school-wide or targeted for the first time? So I'm going to check yes. Then a drop-down box is going to come up. So I want to seek approval for a school-wide plan or a targeted plan. So I need to check yes or no. If they're already school-wide, then it would be a no because you're already a school-wide. This is for the first time. List the principal's last name, the principal's first name for that site, the principal's phone number and extension, and then save the page. So then after that, once that is approved, we will go in the system and select school-wide or targeted for you. Then once you do that, once we select that for you, you can go to Low Income Step 3.5, save the page. Let's say I decide not to serve Durant Middle School. I click that box and save the page. Then it's going to take me to Low Income Step 4. This is where I'll read all of the directions here. It talks about the homeless set-aside. It talks about certain funds that must be set aside. So anything that is already pre-populated, the GMS system automatically pre-populates. If you have an allocation over $500,000, the GMS automatically pre-populates the parent and family engagement. The homeless set-aside, you will need to set aside the amount that you feel that is adequate to serve your homeless students in your district. Under No Child Left Behind, it was a 1% minimum, but under ESSA, it is not. It is whatever the district feels that they need to set aside to serve their homeless students. If you want to set aside some administration money there, you do that. Indirect cost, once you budget indirect cost under the budget page, it will pre-populate this amount. And let me show you how that works. We're going to leave this page. I'm going to go to the budget page. I'm going to go ahead and enter my indirect cost. I'm going to save the page, Remember, wait for the circle to finish before you move on. So now I'll leave the budget page, go back to low income step 4, and as you can see, it's not there. Let's go back to the budget. Let me calculate totals, save the page again. Click Save Set-Asides and it will populate. If there's any other things, let's set aside $5,000 for homeless. This is a large district, you may have several homeless students. So this is your set-asides that you have set. Now, if you had any carryover from the prior year that rolled over, you're going to enter it here. Let's say I had $5,000 of carryover. Okay, so now I've saved all my set-asides. I don't have anything else I need to budget for a set-aside. I've got $806,132.16 to distribute to these two sites. So I can do two things. I can distribute them evenly, and it will automatically distribute the two evenly. Then I'm going to check the distribution. And then I'm going to save the distribution. Or if you needed the elementary school at Washington to have a little bit more money, then you could maybe put $600,000 there. And then add the difference, save the page. So I've got all of my money, because this is a zero balance, I've got it all distributed. So once OSDE marks the site, we will be able to save this and move on. Now, if your school district is serving non-public school students, an amount would be distributed in this, on this line, and then you will need to budget for non-public schools. So that's low-income step 4. So we've already talked about the school-wide intention plans, intention tab. For the first time, if you need to go school-wide or targeted, fill this page out, save the page, and let your reviewer know that you have filled out this page. The next tab is the LIEP. Whoops. If you have one or more students that is EL in your district, you click yes. If you have 0 students that are EL, you click no. If you click yes, you have to fill out all of the columns. Save the page. There are 3 columns of questions that you will have to complete for this particular application. Once again, if you have any EL students at your district, you need to fill out this page. So the next page is the budget page. Remember, each time you leave a page, save the page. So this is something new that I need you to be aware of. This year you have an option at the budget page. Do you want to budget by site, which you have the drop downs by site, or do you want to still use just one budget for district-wide purposes? If you want to budget by site, you have that option, but let me caution you, whatever you choose, and once that budget is submitted and approved, you cannot change during the middle of the year. So make sure that if you want to budget by site, after that's submitted and approved, you cannot go back and budget by district. You have to stay with site budgets. This is where you have the opportunity. So if you want to budget by site, all of the district set-asides will be budgeted by 000. And then we had Washington Irving that we set aside money for, so this is where you would budget it. Here's your function codes, your object codes, your expenditure description. And we ask, please, 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 be very detailed when you're describing what expenditures that you're going to need for the year. It just helps our reviewers with approving your application in a timely manner, and also when you get ready, they get ready to approve your claims. They always refer back to the application, so the more detailed you are in this description, the faster we can get your claims paid. So this is the budget page. Save the page, and then move on. But when you're working on the budget page, you're also going to be working on the personnel page. This is the only page, plus the tutor page, that you can copy from the previous year. But let me caution you, we've had some glitches in GMS when you copy from the previous year and then start deleting people at the below. There's a glitch in the system that we have to have GMS work on for your particular school when that happens. So I caution you, when you do copy from previous year, make sure you're not deleting a bunch of the rows, because it does cause a glitch. So you're going to enter their first name and last name and their teacher number, or if it's a non-certified person, you're going to enter their last 4 digits of the Social Security number. You're going to enter the job code. You're going to enter the teachers, if they're a job code 207, 210, or 211, you're going to enter their area code. And then you're going to tell us what site code they're working at, the function code that they're being paid from, and the object code will always be 100. And then the salary in Title I, that is an SPR. And when you place these salaries in SPR, there's a drop-down box that tells you what you're going to tell us what federal program they're going to be paid from. So when you put that salary here, it's going to SPR and looking for that salary that says Title I. So once you get all of those entered, you're going to save the page, and then you're going to hit Accreditation tab. This is going to check those 207 job codes, 210 and 211 with accreditation to make sure that their area code that you entered matches their teaching certificate. If it doesn't, it's going to give you an I. So once you start entering these and save the page, it's going to give you a U. But once you select the Accreditation tab, it's either going to give you an A, which they're approved or accredited, or an I, they're inconsistent, and you need to go check the area code that's on their teaching certificate. It's not a subject code, it's the area code on their teaching certificate. And once again, only job codes 207, 210, and 211 have to have an area code entered. Next, we'll go to the tutor tab. It's basically the same as the personnel. First name, last name, teacher number, because we know non-certified cannot be tutors. 415 is the only job code, and enter the area code that they're going to be tutoring in. Also place the salary and school personnel records. Save the page. Select the Accreditation tab, and it's going to come up with a status of either I or A. If it's I, that means the area code is not the same as what's on their teaching certificate, so you'll have to go back and check that. So once everyone's at A, you can move on. excuse me. The next tab is for non-public services. This is for those school districts who are serving private school students. Once, under the Consolidated Application tab, you've selected Title Migrant, Title II, Title III, or Title IV. It's going to give you an amount, and then that amount's going to be budgeted under 5,500 in the budget page. Then that page is going to pre-populate this number right here. So all three tabs have to balance. Then you tell us the non-public school that you're serving, the function object code that you're spending money in for that private school, and then the expenditure description that matches that function object code and the amount. If you need more entries, add more entries. There's several there. Save the page before you leave. If the page does not save correctly, that means that this total cost does not balance with this cost up above, and this cost doesn't balance with the budget and doesn't balance with that non-public schools equitable services tab. The next tab goes along with the personnel tab. It's called the job description tab. This is where you're telling us who in personnel and what their job description is. So if I entered a preschool teacher, you would enter preschool teacher, tell us the job code, what subject they're teaching, and what their description is and how they're serving Title I students. Or if you have a paraprofessional, you would enter paraprofessional here, their job code, and the job description that paraprofessional is how they're serving students in an instructional nature or direct student services to students or parents. So once that is all entered, save the page. Now, also, we would like you to place the tutors here too. So you would put a tutor, their job code would be 415, tell us what subject they're tutoring, and just give us a job description. So that is Title I. There are some, just as a reminder, if you have an EL student, the LIEP tab must be completed. The School-Wide Targeted Intention tab is new in the Title I application. You no longer have to go back to the CDAP to fill this out, and contact your reviewer that you have filled this page out, because it will also go along with your school-wide or targeted application that later on today you will have a webinar on that. That's the new things that are in this application. So next we're going to go to Title I-A Neglected. You have the overview page. Then we're going to go to the program details page. Just describe and answer the questions on this page. And if anything needs to be uploaded, you upload it in the Consolidated Application Supporting section under Supporting Documentation. Anything that you have to upload to us, we want it in that Title I, in that Consolidated Application section under the Supporting Documentation. So answer these questions, save the page, very important. The budget page is next. It is just like the Title I budget page, but you only have an option to budget by district and not by site. The personnel is the same as Title I. First name, last name, teacher number or Social Security number for non-certified, job codes, area code for those job codes that are 207, 210, or 211. Site codes, function object, and the program code. These funds, when you're paying personnel, they need to be for after-school programs or summer school, because your school district should be using local and state funds to educate those students in a neglected site. Anything above that can be paid with neglected funds, and it's usually after-school programs or summer school. Next page is the Tutor tab. It's the same as Title I's, and then the job description is the same as Title I. Please just tell us the job title, the job code, the subject code, and a job description for each person in Personnel and on the Tutor tab. That's all of neglected. The next one is if you have migrant funds. This particular school district does not, but we're going to go over the tab. The overview is just telling you about the migrant program. The program details, you're just going to describe the migrant program and the priority for services for migratory children. Answer the questions on this tab, save the page. The budget, also, you have under the program details, you have the ESSA requirements, which is this page. Then you have the migrant summer school program. Does the LA intend to offer a migrant summer school? You're going to answer yes or no. If yes, upload a description of your summer school program. There's also an information tab that complete the document and upload it in this file. That kind of helps you. Also, there's a professional development tab under the program details. So there's 3 tabs you'll need to fill out. If you offer professional development, answer the questions here. So that's all of the program details. So the budget, personnel, tutor, non-public services, and job descriptions are just like Title I, except you're using migrant funds. Okay? So the next program would be Title I Delinquent. Not all districts have Title I Delinquent. The overview just tells us information about the program. The program details is just you're answering the questions. Provide a description of the program under this subpart to be assisted by this grant. Just like neglected funds, delinquent funds is the same. Your school district, using their state and local funds, offers the basic educational program for that delinquent site. Anything above that would be from delinquent funds, supplemental to the state and local education. Once you fill that out, go to the bottom, save the page. On this particular grant, any supporting documentation, we have a place for you to upload it just for delinquent. And then you'll upload it here. Budget page, personnel page, tutor page, and job description is exactly the same as the other programs. Next, we'll go to Title II. Title II, the overview page, just tells a little bit about Title II. The program details is a little bit different. You're going to describe, under the ESSA requirements, you're going to describe the LEA activities to be carried out, and I'll answer all the questions. Save the page, then go to the professional development, because as you know, Title II is about professional development. You're going to complete the professional development tabs, or boxes. Save the page. The third one, some school districts use Title II funds for class size reduction. So if you want to pay any teachers with Title II with class size reduction, you click yes, save the page. It's going to pre-populate some things. Now, you have to meet the state mandate for class size before any federal funds can pay for class size reduction. So you're just going to fill out the information, and then if you need more entries, create more entries, calculate your totals, and save the page. And then once you get everything entered and save the page, it's going to tell you yes or no if class size reduction is allowed in Title II. If it's no, you won't be able to do it. If it's yes, you can use Title II funds for class size reduction. If you don't want to use any funds to pay for teachers with class size reduction, you'll just check no, save the page, and move on. The next is the budget page, personnel, non-public services, and job descriptions. It is exactly like Title I and all the other programs. Title III, EL, is for English learners if you have those funds. The overview page tells us just a little bit about the program. I have a question back to Migrant. Who is the migrant contact person at OSDE? That person's name is Aaron Clapper, and then Jose is our recruiter. But you would be contacting Aaron Clapper. What's your phone number? And if you will look on our website, you'll see Aaron's phone number there, and you can contact her there at that phone number. That's her direct line. Okay, so let's move on to EL, and we have a program details. It's under ESSA requirements and professional development. So answer the questions. If you have Title III EL funds, save the page. And I want to just remind you that Title III EL funds is supplemental funds to your state and local and Title I. So it's kind of got an extra layer of supplement versus supplant. So you're going to fill out the ESSA requirements page, save the page, move on to the professional development worksheet, fill that out, save the page, and then you'll just move on to the budget, the personnel, the tutor, non-public services, and job descriptions, and those are just like all of the other programs. Now, if you don't have any funds, if you're not allocated any funds, you don't have to fill out this page. But if you're allocated funds, you will have to fill it out. Let's move on to Title III Immigrant. The overview page tells you about the program. These immigrant students are those that have been designated immigrant, and they've been in the United States less than 3 or less years. If they're more than 3 years, then they cannot be counted as immigrant students. So it has the ESSA requirements. You're just going to complete all of that, and then move on to the Professional Development tab and fill out all the information that you're going to use for professional development. The next tabs are just like before: the budget, the personnel, the tutor, the non-public services, and the job description. You'll fill those out. This particular school district does not have immigrant funds, so they would not fill out the immigrant application. It would stay blank. Title IV Part A funds. We've changed this application a little bit this year. Hopefully it's easier for you. The overview page tells you about Title IV. The program details. If you are allocated over $30,000, you have to fill out the comprehensive needs assessment and enter the date that the needs assessment was conducted. Along with this, there's a consultation tab. Under Title IV funds, no matter how many funds that you receive, you have to consult with a selected group. Here is just a drop-down box of who you're consulting with, but it says when you're developing this application, you are to consult with parents, teachers, principals, other school leaders, and it gives a list of people. You don't have to consult with all of them, but you need to make sure when you're developing this application that you do consult with other people listed in this drop-down box. And then we need the initial date of consultation. Now, if you need to add more people, just keep adding additional entries. Once you're through with that, save the page. So on this page is the ESSA requirements. This has changed. It's one tab this year. So this particular school has over $30,000, so they would have submitted a comprehensive needs assessment, and through their consultation, it's told they know how they're going to spend their money. So they're receiving over $30,000, so it's mandatory that they spend money in all three areas. So at least 20% has to be under well-rounded, 20% has to be under safe and healthy, and the other could be under technology to make 100%. Or I may want to do 25%, 30%, save the page, and only 45% in technology. Now, under these three pools of money, well-rounded, safe and healthy, and technology, you've got to select your allowable uses. So let's select under well-rounded, I want to start a STEM program. You're going to select science, technology, engineering, and math, and then you're going to describe what program, just give a description of the program that you're starting. And let's say I wanted to put 40%, 20% here, because the STEM program is going to cost a little bit more. So how am I going to spend this $16,000 in the STEM program? It needs to be a brand new program or enhancing the program that you already have in place, or in expanding it. So I'm also going to spend 20% in safe and healthy, so I come down here to safe and healthy, and through the comprehensive needs assessment and through the consultation process, we've all decided that we need to talk about preventing bullying and harassment. We're going to start new programs and activities for that. Title IV is all about programs and activity funds. So we're going to check that box and fill this out. Tell us about your program that you're starting. Then we've said we're going to spend 40% on technology. Now in this pool of money, I've got $16,957.88. Under Title IV, infrastructure, only $2,543 can be spent on infrastructure. Now, infrastructure is a little bit different in Title IV. That is devices, programs, and things like that. Devices, equipment, software applications in order to address readiness shortfalls. That is what infrastructure is called or is described as under Title IV. Any other money, 85% of this technology pool of money can be spent on educational technology programs. Down below, let's say I want to start a blended learning program. I'm going to describe that blended learning program. So with that blended learning program, I'm going to need all kinds of technology information to start that class. So $14,000 for $14.20 will be for maybe a teacher or whatever you're needing to start that, but only $2,543 can be spent on devices, equipment, software applications to address this blended learning project. Also, in Title IV, if you establish a partnership with the institution of higher education, business, nonprofit, community-based organization, or other public or private entity, click yes. and just describe the partnership that you have established. Once all of that is completed, save the page at the bottom. Now, it will give me errors because I haven't entered the field information. So once I enter all of that, there will be no errors and we can move on. So if I had checked some professional development in any of the areas, I would fill this out and save the page. And then I've already talked about the consultation page. Once you fill that out, save the page. And then we move on. Yes, just a reminder, you have to consult with several people, even if you have any money left in Title IV. Let's say you transfer all of the Title IV funds. You still have to consult before you move those funds. Consultation is very important in Title IV. Yes. You have to consult no matter how much money you have in Title IV. Once you're allocated the money, you have to consult. Okay, we'll move on to the budget page. It's just like, it's a little bit different than the other pages. You have the functions and you have the objects, and then let me go back and fix this page so we can do this. Go to ESSA requirements. Okay, let's just do 20, 20. Save the page, and I'm going to do STEM. I'm just going to put test here. And we said we were going to do prevent bullying. I'm going to put test here. And then we're going to have a blended learning. I'm going to put test here. And I'm going to save the page. Once that's saved with no errors, I'm going to go to the budget page. And what this does from the ESSA requirements page, it gives you an allowable use. So I've selected all three areas. So how am I going to use the well-rounded STEM selection of my allowable use? Please describe in detail what you're going to be using the money for under well-rounded STEM. So let's say it's 1,100. You're hiring a teacher and describe what that teacher's going to be doing for your STEM program. And then you have the allowable uses. You need to budget only the amount that you have for well-rounded. The next one, let's say you're going to hire someone to come in and do some professional development for your teachers for bullying and harassment through the Safe and Healthy Schools. You can only budget what you have on the ESSA Requirements tab. And then, let's say I have, my third one is the Blended Learning Program. So I may need to have a teacher. Now, along with this teacher, you're going to have benefits. So I would need to add some extra lines, which I need to have them fix this. And then only the amount that's in effective use of technology can be allocated. So once you have all the budget, then you save the page and move on. Hang on, we have a comment here. What?
On that effective use of technology,
Mm-hmm.
if it says for devices and then a certain amount for the other, do they have to use the amount for devices?
Mm-hmm. Now, back on this, that's a good question. A question was asked, if you have, under effective use of technology, do you have to use this 15% for infrastructure? You've got $25,000 to spend. If you were to use money on infrastructure, you could only use $3,815. But if you didn't want to buy anything like devices or equipment or software applications, you just wanted to do something else with the money besides infrastructure, you could spend the whole $25,000 on the educational technology or the blended learning program. But once again, if you were going to buy devices or software, equipment, you could only spend 15% of the pool of technology. So once the budget page is completed, now if you select the different categories in the ESSA requirements, you're going to have to budget for those different selections that you've selected. So make sure you don't select too many because there's not that much money. I have a question. How are you able to budget IDC? When I try to put my maximum amount in line G, it causes the percentage on the ESSA page to be incorrect. I will check on that and let you know. Okay, I see what you're saying. So I will check with GMS to get that fixed for you. Thank you for that comment. Another question on Title IV. Once a new program is established with Title IV funds, can the funds be used from year to year to continue the program? Yes, it can. But the funds cannot be used. To say you established a new program last year with state and local funds, you cannot use Title IV funds to continue that program. That would be considered supplanting. If you consolidate all of the money, do you still fill out the tab? If you move all of your Title IV funds to a school-wide consolidation of funds pool, you would not fill out the Title IV application.
Now, if they're over 30, they always have to do it.
Now, one thing you do have to do in the application, because you received a Title IV allocation, and you have to consult. So that consultation page has to be filled out whether you move the money or not. Okay? And if it's over $30,000, you're going to have to do the comprehensive needs assessment before you move the money. So the comprehensive needs assessment and the consultation tab would have to be filled out if you're over $30,000, and the consultation tab would have to be filled out no matter how much money you were allocated. If you move the money or not, it needs to be filled out. Because during consultation, it may be decided not to move the money. Or during the comprehensive needs assessment, it may be established not to move the money. So just check on those two tabs before any money is moved. Okay, personnel, tutor tab, non-public services, and job descriptions are exactly the same as the other applications. Okay, let's move on, and we'll answer questions about all the other programs later on after we're finished. So next we're going to move to Title V, Part B, RLIS. Not all school districts receive this money. So if you don't receive the money, you would not fill this out. But if you do, the overview page just tells us a little bit about the program. The program details tells us, okay, you received this money, what activities am I going to use this money for? Let's say I'm going to use it for a Title I purpose. I would save the page. So the next tab I would fill out under program details. You're going to describe the activities from the funds worksheet. So I selected Title I. So tell me the activities that you're going to implement with RLIS funds for a Title I purpose. And you would fill out all of the different questions or descriptions, save the page at the bottom. The next tab would be professional development. So if I needed to do some professional development under the Title I purpose, I would fill out this page. Now, if I selected under the Funds Worksheet, Title II, and save the page, and I wanted to use the funds as for class size reduction for a Title II purpose, I would fill out the class size reduction sheet. It's just like the one under Title II. Fill out the forms in the different boxes, and it'll tell you if you're allowed to use CSR under RLIS for a Title II purpose. Save the page when you're finished. Once all those pages are saved, you're going to go to the budget. We're going to budget the funds using the functions and objects and a detailed description of the expenditures that you're going to be using under RLIS and the amount. If you want to budget indirect costs, please budget that. And then save the calculate the totals and save the page. Personnel, tutor tab, and job descriptions are the same as the other programs. The next one is Title V Part REAP. These are for those districts who are eligible to REAP their Title II and Title IV funds into REAP. Not all school districts are eligible. There is a list right here under the funding. It says 1920 SRSA REAP /flex eligibility. You can click on that and it'll show you the schools that are eligible. If you're eligible, you'll know because you have you'll have a box in the Allocation tab under REAP. Okay, let's move on to the program details. Just like our LIS, you're going to designate what programs you want to use the REAP funds for. Now, as an example, let's say I'm going to REAP my Title II funds into REAP. So I would not want to check Title II because you could have left the funds in Title II if you wanted to use them for a Title II purpose. The same thing for Title IV. If you just want to use them for a Title IV purpose, you should have left the money in Title IV. But let's say I wanted to REAP Title II and Title IV for a Title I purpose, that would be good. You save the page and then move forward to the professional development worksheet. If you're going to have any professional development under this for a Title I purpose, save the page. Or let's say you wanted to, this is another example, I want to combine my Title II and Title IV funds and REAP them for a class size reduction purpose under Title II. You would fill this page out just like you did the examples in Title II and RLIS. Once you fill out all the boxes, it will tell you if CSR is allowed, and then calculate the totals and save the page. You can do this only if you're using the funds for a Title II purpose. So let's move on to the budget. It's the same as all of the other ones. You budget under function, object, detailed description, and the amount. Budget indirect cost if you have it. This particular school district wouldn't because they were not eligible for REAP. So the personnel, tutor tab, and job descriptions are exactly the same. So now I want to move back. Well, let's go to Consolidated Administrative Cost. So in the under the Allocation tab, I moved some money, contributed some money to school-wide consolidation administrative cost. This is where I can take funds from, let's say, Title I, Title II, and so forth, because I have a federal programs department. Our larger school districts have that. And instead of prorating my federal programs director under Title I salary, Title II salary, Title III salary, I can move funds from each program to Consolidated Administrative Cost, and I can budget say for administration. Save the page, and then go to the budget page, and enter my Federal Programs Director under 1, Function Object Code, and then Salaries and Benefits, and claim it one time instead of prorating it under several different programs. I can only file one claim instead of several. So that's the good thing about Consolidated Administrative Cost. It gives you the chance to move money into this program from other programs for Federal Programs Administration. And it would be mainly larger districts who have Federal Programs departments. So that's your Consolidated Administrative Cost. Your budget, your personnel, and your job description is exactly the same as the other programs. Okay, one that we missed is school-wide consolidation of funds. This is a program where you are consolidating into a school-wide consolidation of funds pool other programs like Title I, Title II, Title III, Title IV, Title I-C, Immigrant, RLIS funds. I want to combine all of those funds into a pool, and I want to use them at the school sites that I have selected in low-income Step 4. So the overview kind of talks about the page, and then you're going to come to a site allocation page. Once I have completed low-income Step 4, it will list the schools that are designated school-wide on low-income Step 4. It'll list them here. Then it will list the Title I allocation that I saved on low-income Step 4. But then I decided I wanted to move some neglected, migrant, delinquent, Title II, Title III, immigrant, Title IV, and RLIS funds to the school-wide. It's going to put those funds here. And all this comes from the Allocation tab. And once I save that page, let's just go do that real quick so you can see what it's going to do. So under the Allocation tab, let's say I'm going to move $500,000. I'm going to move under neglected, I'm going to move all of it. Under Title I-D, I'm going to move all of it. Title II, I think I'll just move all of it. Title III, I'm going to move all of it. And Title IV, I'm going to move all of it. And RLIS, I'm going to do the same thing. Calculate the totals. It's not going to let me do it as of yet. So let's go back to Title I, because I haven't designated any schools yet. In low-income Step 4, remember I allocated some money that didn't save? So I'm going to consolidate some funds here. It's not going to let me save it. And the reason it won't let me save it is because one of these is not selected as a site. So, first thing I need to do to consolidate the funds is check these boxes. Once these boxes and everything is in here correctly and it's saved, then we'll go back to School-Wide Consolidation of Funds, go to the Site Allocation tab. It will put the sites here, and it will put the funds here that I had marked in the allocation page. Save the page, And then the next tab I would have to fill, because even though I contribute all of these different funds into a school-wide consolidation of funds pool, you still have to meet the intent and purposes of Title 1A neglected, Title 1, Title 1C migrant, Title 1D delinquent, let's say Title 3 immigrant. I still have to meet those students' needs and the purpose of the Title I grant, or those particular grants, but I'm moving all of that money into a school-wide consolidation of funds pool. But here you're going to tell me how you're going to meet the intent and purposes of Title I, how you're going to meet the intent and purpose of Title II, how you're going to meet the intent and purposes of the other programs that you're consolidating into that pool. This is the tab that will pre-populate the sites, and then you'll have boxes here that will tell you the intent and purpose. So we selected Washington Early Elementary School. It would list Washington Early Elementary School here. Then it would list Title I, Title II, Title III, Title IV, whatever programs I am consolidating, and then you'll give me the intent and purpose in the box. I know this is confusing because we don't have those listed as school-wide or targeted, so I couldn't move forward, but it will be self-explanatory once you just keep moving forward. The budget page, personnel page, tutor tab, and job description in the school-wide consolidation of funds is exactly the same as the other programs. So that's the school-wide consolidation of funds tab. I do want to show you something different this year. We had our grants associates go into the application and create some instructions. So if you would go over to the consolidated application, and it'll say new FY20 instructions, click on that tab, and the instructions for each tab will show up. As you can see, what's very important, ensure that you save the page before you move on. But it just kind of gives you an overview, and it goes tab by tab what you should be doing. So we want to thank our grants associates for doing that, because that is a very helpful page for our districts. So that's after all of these different programs are filled out and you have no errors on each page, you'll go to the submit page, and then you will run a consistency check. Once the consistency check, if it shows errors, you'll have to go back and clean up those errors. If it's clear, you'll lock the application, and then you'll submit it to the Office of Federal Programs. So, if there's a mistake and you've already locked the application, the superintendent has the rights to unlock the application, and then you'll correct whatever needs to be corrected, come back to the submit page, run the consistency check. Once it passes, lock the application, and there'll be a submit button once that application has been locked. So that is the consolidated application for FY20. As you can see, the application due date is September 30th, 2019. So just make sure that you meet that date. And we are in the 2019-20. So right now, most school districts should be going into the GMS system in FY19 and closing out your FY19 expenditures. Once you close out, that is due by September 1. So make sure that you meet that deadline, September 1, to close out. Those funds, once you close out, will roll over to FY20, and then you'll be ready to complete the application and submit it to us by September 30th. So, do we have any questions that we can answer at this time, or if we can't answer them, we will get your name and get back to you. Did I miss anything? Okay, all right.
Very good.
Any questions? And just to remind you that this webinar will be posted in a few days on the Office of Federal Programs website for your review. Okay, if we don't have any other questions, we want to thank you for listening today. And if you have any questions or need help, please contact your reviewer or anyone in the Office of Federal Programs. Just to emphasize, the reviewers list is with their phone number is on the our website under the Office of Federal Programs. I do have a question. Have immigrant funds been allocated? And that is yes. All funds for the consolidated application have been allocated. Any other questions? Okay, thank you for listening today.